Okay, so we have made it to Thursday's homework. Looking at number 5. Number 5 says that Gabe went to the amusement park with an allowance of $40 to spend. His ticket cost $26.50. Write an inequality to represent S, how much he could spend on snacks. So if you look at number 5 really quick, there's kind of a lot going on here. This problem's really a lot. But we'll go through these step by step. Excuse me, and each step is going to build off each other. So just like we were doing with the equations for number 1 and for number 3, I'm going to highlight all my important information to build my inequality first. After I build my inequality, then I'm going to solve, of course showing all our work. And then after we show our work, we're going to graph the inequality down here on the number line. So first thing I need to do is highlight all my important information. First important piece of information that we have here is that his allowance was $40. Now, for those of you that get allowances, you know that when you get an allowance, you're not allowed to spend more than that amount of money. You can spend less than that, or you can spend that amount of money, but you can never spend more than that. If you do, your parents get a little upset. So we know that my allowance, or that the money that I can spend, if I can't spend more than that, I can spend less, or I can spend that amount, which is going to be $40. So I know that the amount that I spend needs to be less than or equal to $40. The next piece of important information we have is that the fact that his ticket cost $26.50. So in order to calculate his total spending here, we need to keep in mind that he's spending for his ticket and he is spending for snacks in order to go to the amusement park. We know that the ticket cost $26.50, but we don't know how much the snacks cost. We do know, however, that we can use S to represent how much he can spend. So we know that the ticket cost plus the cost for snacks has to end up being $40 or less. So in order to write my inequality, I'm going to take this expression that we just built and put that in for the amount that we spent. So my inequality is going to say $26.50 plus the amount for snacks is going to be less than or equal to $40. So now step 1 is done. When I go to extension number 1 here, it says to solve the inequality above for S. So I'm basically going to get the variable by itself, just like we were doing with our equations. So in order to show my work over here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite my inequality. Now, in order to get the variable by itself, we're going to do the exact same thing as we were doing with our equations. And I'm going to do the opposite of whatever I was given in my inequality. Since I was given addition, in order to get the variable by itself, I'm going to have to use subtraction. So I'm going to subtract $26.50 on both sides. And I forgot my minus sign. Whoops. So a positive 2650 and a minus 2650, these zero out, and I'm left with S. We know that the inequality sign is going to stay the same for now. And then we just need to go through $40 minus $26.50. So I'm going to pull out my scratch work post-it again. And we can run through $40 minus $26.50. So when I go through this, I know 0 minus 0 is 0, but I can't take 5 away from nothing. So I need to be able to borrow all the way from over here at the 4. So that 4 turns into a 3, which means that this 0 turns into a 10, but that 10 also needs to be borrowed in order to give me something to subtract over here. So now I have 10 minus 5, which is 5. My decimal stays in the same place. Now we have 9 minus 6, which is 3, and then 3 minus 2 gives me 1. So I know that the amount that I can spend on snacks has to be less than or equal to $13.50. So I'm going to put that here in the blank that we provided for us. $13.50. So now extension 1 is done. The only other thing we have to do here is take care of extension 2, which is then to graph the solution to my inequality on the number line below. So looking back at extension 1, we know that S has to be less than or equal to $13.50. So on our number line here, each of these markers, or each of those lines, represents a whole number amount of money. So I have $10, $11, $12, $13, so on. So $13.50 is going to be exactly halfway between 13 and 14. But before I shade in either direction, I want to talk about the difference between an open circle and a closed circle. On my inequality graph, if I leave an open circle there, this means that my number that I'm starting on is not included. That means it's not included. But a shaded circle means that the number that I'm starting on is in fact included. So if I have less than or equal to $13.50, I know that I can spend $13.50 on my snacks, which means that I need to include my $13.50 in my inequality. And then since I'm shading less than that, we talked about way back in the beginning of the year that left always means less when we're talking about our number line. So I'm going to shade, or in this case squiggle, since the line's kind of thick, out to the left to represent that all of these values are solutions for my inequality. Now for number 6, it is another inequality question, so you'll have to write your inequality first, and then solve, and then graph. But make sure you're following the steps just like we did in this video in order to do number 6 on your own.